Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Creative BRRRR Strategy House and podcast here every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. My name is Joseph Scarice. I'm a founder and host of the Creative BRRRR Strategies podcast here to provide hopefully insight, education, networking opportunities. I have to take some credit for us and our moderators and our followers. We are the only room here on Clubhouse that has its own podcast, has its own domain website, has also interviews with speakers throughout from Clubhouse, and we have sponsors. I want to thank our sponsors, Realty 411. I want to thank MB Capital, Percatech, as well as Lenmark Capital, because there's belief behind this of really providing insight and education to investors on a weekly basis. We're here every Saturday morning, 8 a.m., and every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. And it's really kind of grown into a kind of a great ritual of bringing some great people up and having conversations and discussing different layers of real estate. Because there's so many different layers when it comes to real estate education, and I really truly believe that you should be able to provide it ethically and with integrity. So today's discussion, which is I think is always nice and important to have on here, is what are the most important factors in real estate investing. I'm just getting myself set up here. We'll get some things going here in just the next few minutes. Joe, good morning and welcome. How's everything going this morning?
Yeah, everything's going well. Just writing a new lease for new tenants that I accepted yesterday.
So, before we get into our subject today, are you finding a little more difficulty attracting the right tenant right now based on economics? Just the industry itself? Do you think there's a little influx of extra inventory in the rental space? What's your thoughts right now?
No, listen, if you're priced right, I mean, the hits are there, and I wouldn't say that I noticed any difference in the quality of tenant, all based on the areas that you go in, right? I mean, a little bit of credit score weaknesses here and there, but I mean, other than that, I mean, I haven't noticed anything different just yet in people that used to be homeowners that were forced out of their house or facing evictions or foreclosures just yet. I also think that my advertisement tends to weed those people out because it's more of a no nonsense ad. It lays out the expectations and it kind of leads the nonsense out.
Interesting. So, based on current market conditions, as you and I always are sending data back and forth to another, what do you think is going on here with the industry? I mean, are we really in a renter's market, and really the home buying is flatlined or stagnant? I mean, the inventory is so stale. I mean, what are you seeing talking with investors at your mini groups? What are you finding the biggest factor for an investor right now? And then we'll dive into the subject itself.
Well, listen, the biggest factor for the investor, I mean, stale properties are really where we make is what our bread and butter is, right? You're never going to be able to compete with a homeowner as an investor. So you need to look for those stale properties and the properties that require the work that the newlyweds or the pregnant couple or are not going to want to get into. So that was always your bread and butter. I do think that you're going to see more of those come on. Foreclosure numbers are increasing, so you start looking at that. So that'll definitely bring opportunity that comes along. But again, you're also in the buying season, but the interest rates don't make sense either. So I think we're still in a situation where the sellers have been used to getting what they want, and they're holding out. But you do see those days on markets increasing. I think people are selling to make the profit, not because they need to sell just yet. I mean, but those days will be on the way.
Quite ironic. I have sit downs with appraisal management services week to week, and at my office in Philadelphia is right next to a colleague of mine that's in the appraisal world. He's a certified appraiser in PA, New Jersey, and there is hundreds of foreclosures coming to the market in Philadelphia, as well as Baltimore, Chicago. Maybe it could be thousands. There's some serious miscalculations of underwriting or the landlord just could not handle their circumstances at the time, and you're going to start seeing some of that triculate into the market over the next 12 to 18 months because they're already doing the appraisals for these properties. What my concern is will it level off the values in the urban settings comparatively to the suburban markets? How will the suburban markets be impacted? And this is another thing. If you don't have as much as sold and settled in the market, what happens to values when the appraiser can't grab onto an appraisal value? Okay. And when you're bringing thousands of new rentals from all these conversions and build the rents communities throughout the market, how does that also matriculate into the individual landlord buying, renovating, renting, refinancing, redoing? So, tying into some factors this morning still hold true. And Joe, I'm going to go over these, and then I'd love to get your take on this. And if anybody would like to raise their hand and come up as well, love to have your input or insight or question or statement. Real estate investing involves a variety of factors but some of the most important ones include still location. The old age location holds true. Property's location significantly impacts the desirability, rental potential, and future appreciation. Market trends. Understanding the current state and future outlook of the real estate market is very crucial. Factors such as supply and demand, population growth, economic indicators, and job markets can affect investment opportunities. Property condition. Assessing the condition of property is essential for estimating repairs or renovation costs, determining potential rental income, and forecasting long-term maintenance expenses. Financing, access to financing options and interest rates that can significantly impact the feasibility and profitability of the investment. Evaluating various financing options and that what's associated cost is crucial. Cash flow. Positive cash flow is essential for sustaining real estate investments. Investors should consider rental income, operating expenses, vacancy rates, and potential fluctuations in rental demand. What's your investment strategy? Different investment strategies, such as long-term rentals, fix and flip projects, or commercial real estate, require distinct approaches and entail varying levels of risk and return. Risk management. Real estate investments involve inherent risks, such as market fluctuations, tenant turnover, regulatory changes, and unforeseen expenses. Implementing risk mitigation strategies such as diversification, insurance, and thorough due diligence is vital. Tax implications. Understanding the tax implications of real estate investing, including property taxes, depreciation, capital gains, and deductions, can help investors maximize their returns and minimize tax liabilities. Ultimately, real estate investment requires research, careful analysis, and comprehensive understanding of these key factors and your willingness to adapt to changing market conditions. Joe, what highlights to you in some of these bullet points that I went over? And this is an article I also posted on my LinkedIn as well as Facebook. So you're more than welcome to follow me or connect with me to read that article. It's there for your review.
So there's two things that popped out, right? One was location, right? You need to determine what type of investor you're going to be, what areas you're going to invest in. Are you going to invest in the D-class neighborhoods, the war zones, or are you going to invest in the A-class neighborhoods? Each one provides a different mindset, provides a different strategy that goes in. The next one is strategy, right? What is strategy are you applying towards your investing goals, right? If you're fix and flip, is an analyze different than a buy and hold. If you're wholesaling, it's a whole nother beast and animal. So you need to know what your strategy is that you're employing and realize and really dig into and realize what type of investor you want to be and what type of strategy you're going to apply to a specific property. Because if you don't, that's where your failure starts setting in, right? You can't just be applying different formulas to different strategies and then hoping that everything goes well, right? Hopium is not is not the way of investing successfully.
I'm thinking, I have had some discussions with licensed real estate agents recently, and I'm trying to keep, because they all want to get in on the business, right? They all want to jump in on the parade. They're seeing other people taking advantage of the opportunities. And my belief is when there's chaos, there's opportunity. I think you really need to understand property condition. We have an older, aging real estate stock. The average house was built in the 50s. So the repairs that need to be done to stabilize it as a good rental, you need to understand the mechanics. You need to understand what precautions you need to put in place. I think real estate agents or just investors in general take on too much at the initially. The gut to the studs. I don't think that's a necessary evil to identify a great opportunity. Joe, thoughts to that as well in regards to renovating a property, keeping things realistic so you can get moving toward the cash flow.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time. Over renovation, right? And you need to lean on your expertise, right? I mean, like you mentioned, there's a gut to the studs. Number one, is it needed to be gut to the studs? Is there are needs to have and nice to have? Um, and again, your renovations are going to go based on who you're trying to appeal to rent your property or purchase your property, right? It all goes down again into strategy. A rehab for a buy and sell is a fix and flip is going to be different than a rehab for a rent. Not that it's going to be inferior, but you know that you're going to be dealing with homeowners who are going to be looking for the granite, the quartz, or what have you. Whereas if you're renting, it may be appropriate to do Formica or butcher block or what have you, a little bit of a cheaper options, right? You might have to put tile down if you're fixing and flipping, depending on the class of the neighborhood versus um, versus the luxury vinyl plank, which some people may not like. So you have to go through different looks, right? If you're renting, um, your paint job might be, I'm going to paint the entire place white and give them a blank canvas. So if they want to paint, they can paint, but I'm painting the entire place white. Whereas if you're fixing and flipping, you're going to want to give a color palette to the place to be appealing to a buyer. Um, so but there's a lot that goes into over renovation, right? And goes into your strategy and what it is that you're looking to do. But if you're going into something that's too difficult and outside your expertise, by all means, JV with someone and get that help and that experience.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of joint venture. I do agree with you. You need some form of support initially. If one, you don't have the backbone for it initially, and you want to get kind of break through in an opportunity. But I'd also, if you're going to do a joint venture, you definitely have to sit down with an attorney, your CPA, because you're going to have to see what the impact is, short and long term. But I do think it's an opportunity there. I am seeing more investors partnering with their GC, which has been vetted, of course. They're partnering with individuals that have experience in transactions. And that difference makes a difference in pricing and financing options and accessibilities in the asset based lending, where not only 10 years ago, if you didn't have a tax return, you weren't getting a loan as a real estate investor. You were on the sidelines. Now, you don't need to look at tax returns. You don't need to look at pay stubs and W 2s and 1099s. If you have the cash reserves, you have the credit score, you have an LLC, you are at the 30-yard line in favor of yourself to kick at least a field goal in a decent deal. Okay, but you still also have to understand the financial capability of what you have in the bank and reserves from lines of credit to know what your financial capability and buying power and what your initial investment strategy. I do get a kick out of a lot of people when they come to events that we're at, Joe. Hey, I'm wholesaling right now. I want to buy single family through four family, and I want to get my multifamily all within this next year. Like what they're saying is just idiocy. You have to eat an elephant one bite at a time. So you really need to first understand what your financial capabilities are and what accessibilities you have, and having a deep discussion with a financial strategist in what you can do and what you can't do. Joe, some thoughts to that?
Uh, yeah, I mean, listen, let's hit the first point, right, JV, because you hit a lot of points that I don't know which one to hit first, and I'll probably forget as I talk through it, right? The JV point, like I don't like JVing either, right?
Yeah.
Especially in a long term project, because it's almost like marriage. You have a 50-50 shot of it working, right? And when the breakup happens, it's really, really ugly. And you see some of these relationships that go, "Hey, I'm bringing the money, and they're doing the work." And then someone in that aspect always feels screwed, right? The person that's doing the work, it's usually more work than than expected. The person that's financing the money, hey, this guy or gal is just draining me for the money, and I'm not making the return that I anticipated. And hey, or if you're doing a 50-50 where we're getting finance and we're doing the work, I've seen it all the while. Hey, you're not pulling your weight. You had to go and take care of family problems, and I'm here slaving at the property, right? And then there's some sort of form of perception that the other party is not doing what they agreed to do. So I agree with the JVs, right? It definitely becomes a challenge, and then there's the other snakes out there that take advantage of the newbies, and they'll say, "Hey, not only will I give you the money, but I want interest on my money, and I want a piece of the deal. I want equity in the deal. Either you're a lender or you're a partner. You can't be both." So I've seen both of those happen, right? And then again, you've kind of mentioned it, right? People with their identity, right? I'm a wholesaler, but eventually I'm going to get into properties, and 1 to 4, and and I've mentioned it before. I've had people talk about JVing with me, and I was all about it. There was going to be a little bit of a group of investors kind of make like their own company, do an investor club, and there were two younger guys who had no properties, who were just going to kind of tag along for the ride, bring the money to the deal, and kind of learn from the elders, if you will. And then eventually the two split off and said, "Hey, we are not doing this anymore, and we're going to go into large multifamily acquisitions. You live in your parents' basement, both of you. You don't have any experience." And they went off and they spent $20,000 on this program from large multifamily acquisitions. This was 2 years ago, and they haven't done anything. So, and meanwhile, here we are, all the elders, which we didn't do. We wound up not doing the company jointly, but all of us have progressed forward with our buy and holds. So they missed out on a big opportunity, at least I think, to get their experience and get their feet wet into the job. But no, you're right, Joe. A lot of people have some identity crises in this, and they think it's get rich quick, which this is not a get rich quick game. This is get wealthy. There's a difference. You're creating income, you're establishing a business, you're getting wealthy. You're not getting rich quick.
You brought up some really great points where, when there's economic concerns, the Ponzi raises their heads above the water. And what I mean by Ponzi is these educational workshops that are out there that are extremely, I will call the world zealous in the type of price points. I've actually made phone calls just to see what entails a lot of this information. Like I called one course; they wanted $30,000 to go hang out with these group of people and to get yourselves educated in real estate. And I'm like, $30,000 is a down on a BRRRR strategy, buying something at 100 grand, putting 50 grand into it, and the back end value is 220. Why would you go put 30 grand into a course where you don't walk away with anything? Okay, and it's on your credit card. It's impacting your personal DTI. Why don't you sit down with a financing strategist and a CPA and attorney, maybe even get your license in real estate to kind of understand from the inside out instead of the outside in, and understand some of the terminologies, or take a course at a CCIM institute where they're providing you the kind of the down and dirty understandings of education and real estate, and take smaller workshops that are very granular to what some of your immediate goals are. If you want to be a good wholesaler, go to a wholesaling class and spend a couple $100, and on a weekend and some information. Don't get upsold. Try to walk away with some value in a golden nugget. And it's usually typically a local RIA or investor group. Then maybe learn about BRRRR strategy, buy, renovate, rent, refinance. I mean, that and redo. I mean, that concept works from a 1 unit up to 25 unit. Maybe hire retain a contractor to walk through some properties. Pay them. Nobody's doing anything for free. Okay. Pay a CPA to understand the tax implications of real estate investing, including property, depreciation, capital gains, and deductions. I don't think there's enough discussion because it's not a very exciting subject. Okay. But you need to understand the bookkeep of maintaining and maximizing returns and minimizing tax liabilities. I don't think there's enough to be discussed there. And I'm not your CPA and I'm not your attorney. Don't sue me, and don't take every word as mine as the almighty grail of what you're going to do in real estate investing. Nobody's proclaiming to be anything here other than providing insight and a different discussion of thought every weekend. So, from what Joe's talking about, we've seen between the two of us, as people go up and down in the industry, these workshops will be present even more so during economic concerns. I'm seeing them popping up everywhere. And maybe some of them are okay, but I can't see spending $20,000 to learn something. Like, I mean, you spend $20,000 to become an electrician, where you're going to make $300 an hour in time. I mean, that's where I see 20,000 being well spent. I just don't see $20,000, up front, and then you're going to walk away after a 3-day workshop, and you're going to be some form of expert in your field. It's numerically impossible. And most of these individuals that host these events don't have anybody there to talk about financing. They talk about the financing. So pick your poison. Like, are you teaching people on real estate education, or are you teaching people? Because at the end of the day, everybody needs a mortgage to do a deal. I don't care whether it's on the front side, the back side, whatever it is, you're going to need money in some form or fashion to get involved with a deal, right? So these are important factors to take into consideration, but yet I don't think people take them serious enough, and they go and result to some of these alternative investor group options that are out there. And I feel like there's a bamboozling. And I know, Joe, you and I are part of ARIA. I know we try to limit it, but the aging question is, when will these RIAs wake up to really provide mastermind discussions that are very granular, that make a difference in the first initial steps of a real estate investor?
Yeah, so I couldn't agree with you more, right? I think we've all been to these courses that you give some half baked information that wants you to keeps you wanting more. Some of these programs pay just salesmen that have nothing to do with real estate to sell these $30,000, $40,000 courses, $20,000 courses. Um, and if you don't buy the $30,000 in the beginning, they start negotiating the price with you, which really tells you the value of their course if you really pay attention. Which is kind of funny, but it's a lot. A lot of these people that teach these courses, even the ones at the RIA, let's call it what it is, they may have done what they're practicing and preaching about, but they generally make more money on courses now than they do doing the real estate deals, going around the country talking about real estate courses. So you really start questioning yourself, like, hey, what is this really making that much money? I think social media is a big attribute to it now, where I saw there is a gentleman that I know that doesn't have much real estate and doesn't really know much, and is out there on Instagram and Facebook and putting all sorts of ads and posts out there. Follow me, and I'll teach you how to make millions. And just do this, and they make it sound so simple, right? Just like HGTV and stuff. And I'm like, but they really haven't done anything yet. It's really interesting on what winds up playing out. The information really out there is that's valuable is free, and it's all based off the relationships that you make. And the only way you're going to make relationships is by going out to the local RIAs, even if it's the 101s. And I think the RIAs stick to the 101s because that's the crowd draw, right? Everybody gets told you're going to make money in real estate, zero money out of pocket. You're going to make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a deal by wholesaling, and that attracts people who's like, oh, I don't have to have any money, and I could be a real estate investor. And that's just not the reality. What they don't realize is that you have to be in the grind, and it takes money to be a wholesaler. Right? Wholesalers that are really making it happen are spending thousands of dollars a month in marketing.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars a month in marketing. They don't tell you that part. They tell you, oh, send postcards for 50 cents. Well, 50 cents is cheap, right? But what's your response rate? A percent? A half a percent? And then added that 1% response rate is another 1% or half a percent of people that are actually interested, which then turns into another 1% or half a percent of people that you actually wind up getting under contract, and then the deal goes through. Is that percentage is shorter? So you wind up with 1 out of 100, maybe. So they're spending thousands of dollars in getting that deal, and then again, as a wholesaler, you're only as good as your last deal. There's nothing else to it. You don't have a rental. You don't have a flip that you put into a rental or anything like that. You just make that assignment fee. You move on and find the next. And a lot of people spend that whole assignment fee on their personal needs, and they're not saving it to invest in real estate.
You know, Joe, it's funny that you mentioned the spending of the money, and then we'll go to Anna in a few minutes here. I just approved a $250,000 budget through HubSpot to identify real estate investors that have transacted and closed on a transaction in the last 90 days. And it'll update every quarter. And that's just the initial, okay? And then to get that type of data, we're talking $250,000 just to start by locate. Like, we're doing it by, like, wherever one of the LOs are, right? So I have one gentleman that reports to me that's in Charleston, and another one that reports to me that's in Florida, a certain area of Florida. We're staying very strategic in that region within 50 to 100 miles because you could relate to that individual, right? So, like, for me, it's Philadelphia, the greater Philadelphia market, or maybe at the Lancaster, down through, southern New Jersey tip below the Turnpike, Delaware, maybe some light areas in New York State, because I can get there, okay? I don't need to talk to thousands of people. I want to talk to the very strategic people that's going to make me money. But we're spending we're not spending money in advertising. We're spending money in true data to identify our opportunities: full name, email, phone number, the LLC name, the type of transaction, how it closed, who it closed with. These are very granular details to understand who your potential client is. And I think that's where wholesaling has a great backbone comparatively to the real estate agents out there. I think wholesalers are way ahead of the grade in marketing than any other service industry within the real estate industry, meaning the realtor, the home inspector. The wholesalers are, the contractor. They're spending the money. They're spending. I mean, I know one guy that's one of the top wholesalers in the greater Philadelphia market. He's spending no less than $10,000 a month. I mean, yeah, to get one or two great deals where he's banging people for $20,000 on wholesales, it pays itself and makes a living for himself as well. So you got to weigh out the cost benefit where you hear no money down, get into a deal, or here's a strategy where you're going to get everything, you're going to be into it for $1,000. That's numerically impossible. Okay, that doesn't happen, and they're just selling a really bad vibe of what the real estate industry is, which is called elbow grease, insight, knowledge, and you really have to have those. And the most important factor we didn't even bring up today is who is your power team? Who are you surrounding yourself with every day, every week? What type of events are you identifying to go to? Like, I have my calendar book right here. I look over my events that I want to be at every evening. I want to make sure I'm going to the right event. I want to look at the cost benefit relationship of meeting and greeting people. I want to make sure there's a reason why I'm going to that event. I want to make a reason why I want to go to that event for that subject. And I want to be there a half hour before the time starts, because being early is on time. Being on time is late. You're already shit out of luck. Okay? So if you're going to go out and network to build out your power team and create relationships, that's just as important as understanding market trends, location, financing accessibility, cash flow, investment strategy. Who are you surrounding yourself with? I want to surround myself with very smart people. I want to make a difference in my day by meeting the right new people to put in my circle. Good morning, Anna, and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. What is the most important factor in real estate investing?
So many things. Good morning. It's such a rainy, ugly day here in Chester County, Pennsylvania. I'm a realtor, certified mentor, and investor. And I think the most important thing is to vet the people that you're trusting, listening to, or whatever. And hey, as far as those programs for $99 or $1,900 or whatever, I mean, those guys have to pay their marketing bills, so they got to make the money somewhere. And if you can't make money in real estate, sell to realtors. They'll buy anything. It's such an unfortunate reality, but our industry as a whole, we're the worst. Especially $49. We got something for $49, they'll buy it, and it's just crazy. And I think the reason why they do is because they have more beliefs in someone else promising them something than belief in themselves. Their own belief in, their belief in their own ability to actually perform.
Thank you, Anna. It sounds like you're on the road hustling down, so safe travels. Who should be in your power team? And this is very important. You got to think about this before you put your power team together. Remember, do your due diligence. Conduct informal interviews with potential team members and gather references. Joe has an event. He has the event from 6:30 to 8:30, but he's there till 10:30 at night talking with people after the fact. Asking for recommendations from transactional real estate investors is key. And it's a good sense of each team's member's character. This way you'll be less likely to be stuck with somebody who's not a good fit for your business. With that being said, I'm going to list some professionals that you really need to putting a text on Facebook and saying, "Hey, I need an accountant." That's not asking savvy individuals. Sitting down with somebody that's transactional, that's closing on their 10th deal or their 8th deal, or owns property for the last 48 months, that's the person that has a good accountant and has a good bookkeeper. They probably have a bookkeeper and they probably have an accountant, or the accountant has a bookkeeping service. That's number one. Number two is, have you ever sat down with an appraiser and taken them out to lunch or bought them coffee? Like I said, I'm neighbors with an appraiser. I grab coffee with him once a month just to shoot the shit, to understand what's going through his head and understand what's going on in the market. Because I take that market, what he's done in his market, I take that almost relevant to others. A good real estate attorney. Now, again, somebody that can structure an LLC might not be a person that's good putting together a lease, or maybe they are putting together a good lease, but maybe they're not an eviction attorney. Also, you need a good zoning attorney. permits and understanding local. But in some cities, there's licensed expediters that could expedite your process in getting permits too. So you could look into that as well. A couple great contractors, not one, several. No fellow human being will ever cease to disappoint you, and especially contractors. Seems like you get a couple good deals with them, and then they kind of dissipate in their what would I say, their ethics or availability or communication. A good title company, understanding the title landscape of what you're doing, tangled title, wholesale deals, good handymen and tradesmen. They're your button-up guys and gals. I just met a nice young lady that has a general construction group. They do turnovers or Section 8, and she wants to get in front of more property management companies. So I made a couple introductions for her. I went and saw a couple of her immediate completions. Thought she did good work, and I made some introductions for her. You need to surround yourself with lenders, somebody that understands what you're trying to accomplish. A good insurance agent. I would get a couple because, again, it all depends on communication, availability, creativity when it comes to insurance, because there's builder's risk, there's long-term hold, there's commercial blanket mortgage, policies. Property management companies, they're going to be your backbone to growth. I know Joe self-manages, but you know, meeting with several property management companies, they're your front line of defense in managing out your asset. Several good, if you're not going to become a real estate agent yourself to be an investor, I understand that, then you need to surround yourself with some very active real estate agents, people that understand their market, understand opportunities, maybe even have relationships with wholesalers that are feeding them off market deals. Maybe somebody with a buyer's list or a wholesale list. Get on a bunch of wholesalers lists to start seeing, comparing deals, comparing apples to apples, right? Providing value to your power team. I'm always trying to introduce new clients to various people in my power team. I want to be a difference maker. I want to be that connector. I also want to remind my referral partners that they need to refer back every once in a while as well. It's not a one-sided, handoff. You're going to be like, I work very closely with several referral partners, and we're always handing people introductions back and forth to one another. That's half the battle in this business. Good morning, Linda. Welcome. Brief overview: who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. What is the most important factor in real estate investing? Linda, going once.
Yes, I am here. Good morning, Joseph. Good morning, real estate investors. My name is Linda Pliagas. I'm the founder of Realty 411. We're a news and information website for real estate investors. We also produce magazines. We host live and virtual events, podcasts, webinars, all in an effort to help investors like you on your journey. Now, this is a great topic, Joseph, because the reality is so many things can go wrong when you're a real estate investor. I've been a landlord for over 20 years. I've seen everything, I've heard everything, and I've experienced almost everything. Not everything, but almost everything. Now, for me, the most important factor is that investors need to make sure they're in a solid financial position before they even purchase a rental property or a flip. I've seen way too many investors go into foreclosure soon after they've purchased a rental property. They get one vacancy, then a water heater breaks, then a pipe bursts, and poof, they're gone. They're out of business. They're going into foreclosure. They simply were not financially prepared to become a landlord and to buy a rental property, and to go through all the nuances that we face and go through. I can't stress enough how important it is for investors to have a reserve in their account. This goes the same for flippers. A lot of rehabbers that I've seen throughout the years, they underestimate repairs. They just don't calculate the amount of repairs that are needed, and they're way off. So what happens is they start rehabbing the property. They start going all out, buying, the most expensive materials, really like overdoing it on the rehab. And then halfway through the rehab, they're done. They're out of money. And guess what? Their hard money lender's not going to give them any more money. So they're stuck. They have no more money. They can't finish up the rehab. Their family members and friends won't let them any money. I mean, they're essentially done. You would be surprised how many deals on the market there are that are rehabs that never got completed. I've actually walked through many, many deals that were right on the MLS, investor special. And then, I go in there, I check out the properties, I talk to the listing agent, and I find out they ran out of money. They're investors themselves, and they didn't calculate the finance project correctly. One of my best friends, who's a very well-known broker in Los Angeles, and he's been a rehabber for over 30 years, he once admitted to me that some of his best deals are from other real estate investors that weren't able to do the job right. They ran out of money in the middle of the rehab. They ran out of money when they were trying to maintain their rental property and keep it going, but they didn't have enough reserves. And with one little problem, poof, they were out of business just like that. Folks, don't let this happen to you. You need to have a reserve in your bank account for emergencies. For those new investors out there, I know you're happy, you're celebrating because you just got a deal, you're a landlord now, but guess what? If you start spending that cash flow every month, the time's going to come when you need money to fix something in that property, and if you don't have it, you're in for a big problem. So that's what I think the most important factor is in real estate. You have to have a cushion. You have to be prepared for when things go awry, because they will. It's not plumb perfect when you're a landlord. Ask me. I have one vacancy right now that I've been trying to rent for months. We already lowered the price twice. I have another eviction going on. Because I found out that the tenants were slowly destroying our property and sabotaging it. God knows how much money I'm going to have to spend on that unit. So, I mean, things go wrong, and you have to be prepared for them so that you don't end up losing that property that you cherish so much. Back to you, Joseph.
Thanks, Linda, and thank you for your insight. I'm going to pose 6 questions for you to think about in providing these are important factors in providing value in being in real estate investing. What do you enjoy most about what you do? What makes you different from all your competitors? What kind of deals, jobs, or clients do you like working with most? What's the best way to promote your business? What's your biggest challenge right now? And how can I help? Good morning, Justin. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to the discussion this morning. What is the most important factor in real estate investing?
Yeah, good morning, Joe. You know, I just picked something to talk about. With regards to my opinion, when you're in the fire, everything could be a little bit better. But I'll say this: I think the most important thing is to have a plan. I think I've said this before, and then have and when I say a plan, not just an idea. And I think I kind of was speaking to somebody the other day, and we were discussing the difference between an actual plan and an idea. And so, uh, in these times, I think you to have your whole strategy in place when you're going to look at investing before you even start to look and underwrite deals in your head and underwrite them on paper and analyze them to see if they'll even be a possibility. I think you need to have your end game in mind. I think you need to have some set metrics and as far as what your actual goals are. And I also think you need to spend a lot of time talking to a number of professionals and just trying to get your stuff together. I think spending more time doing the socializing and networking in the beginning is better than trying to be in the middle of the game and being forced to have to find people to fix your situation and so on and so forth. Um, and so, I found that to be helpful in hindsight as well. So, you know, that energy that you would put forth in the time of an emergency or in the time when the bank said, they need something, something's going to happen to you, or you might be in trouble, or you lose a tenant, right? Whatever the trouble may be, because we're problem solvers, you need to be prepared for that. And you need to, spend time researching what that's going to look like when your challenge comes to you, because we only make money when we're good at solving problems in this business, even if they're our own properties problems. So just wanted to throw that out there.
You brought up, you triggered something for me. Active listening, using clear and concise language, building rapport, being responsive, being honest and transparent, and following up are very important communication strategies for real estate investors to master. Okay. Um, I feel from this podcast, I feel I've become a better listener and hesitating in saying things and allowing people to finish what they have to say. I'm having longer discussions with real estate investors in their strategy. And also, another important factor, I'm telling some people that we probably shouldn't work together, letting go and not trying to make everybody a client. Okay, not everybody's a good client. Not everybody's a good person to have in your power team. And to fire somebody maybe that is not making you feel comfortable, it's painful. Um, and that's okay. I don't need to work with everyone, nor do I want to work with everyone. I think it's important that you don't have to work with everybody. You work with people you feel comfortable with. And I think that gets lost, that in sales, we feel we have to always talk to everybody. I might not just be somebody's, you know, appetite, in talking with. I can walk in the room. You might just not like the look of me. I mean, and that's okay. This too shall pass. I'm not in high school anymore or grammar school and concerned about if you're going to be my friend. Okay, I'm way past that. And I think we fall back into our younger days that you think everybody has to be your friend, everybody has to work with you. There's just some people I'm never going to work with, and that's okay. We're never going to make money together. And that's an important factor also psychologically. Not everybody's going to work with you. No, not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay. You got to be confident with yourself and communicate and let go. Okay, it's called transformation. Set your objectives, identify your target audience, discover possible communication hurdles, set up the right communication tools and technologies, and implement effective communication strategy. These are very important factors in who you want to work with and how you want to work with them. I think everybody leaves out the communication part. There's a lot of bad communication issues out there with real estate professionals. They don't have a voicemail. They don't have they don't have a voicemail. They only text you. I mean, they don't want to have a conversation with you. These are factors. Do you want to work with somebody that only wants to text with you and not talk to you? Like when somebody reaches out, hey, can I give you a call? Sure. Hey, it's Friday afternoon. No problem. I'm going to take your call. If I'm available, I'm going to take your call. Hey, can I call you tomorrow on Saturday? Sure. Really? Well, yeah. Why not? If I'm available. I'm having a call with a investor today at 12 o'clock because I'm available. If I wasn't available, I would tell them. I think sincerity and integrity and communication has been lost during COVID and post-COVID. I mean, another thing, a lot of people don't have business cards. They don't even have the thing where you can scan in. Like, how do you go to an event cardless? Whether you have a scan on your phone or you have a business card. How do you go into an event without a business card and you're a real estate professional? These are important factors that make an immediate impact in who you are going to surround yourself with as a real estate investor and who you're going to real estate invest with is a part of your power team. I think a lot of people get really lost in that and lose sight of that. And that is one of the more important factors that are out there in real estate investing. I think a lot of the other things can come together: finance, legal, tax, wholesaling, identifying the right tools. I mean, when before Joe left the room, people are spending $10, $15, $20,000 on a course to learn how to buy real estate. I teach a CE course for licensed real estate agents, which is also open for real estate investors to get their heads out of their ass, to understand the backbone between traditional lending, hard money, and asset-based lending. Nobody's teaching the course since I wrote it. I'm the only individual that offers that as a CE right now in the country. Okay, I teach it for free. Maybe I should charge something so people would find that I want to spend money. I mean, I just don't feel compelled to do that. It might have to come to that point to show true value to the course. But right now, I'm teaching it complimentary. I'm teaching it in May in Philadelphia for a group of real estate agents. I'm teaching it in New York in June. I'm teaching it in Connecticut the following month. I'm teaching in, I think, Florida the following month after that. In North Carolina, I'm trying to do it only once or twice a month because I want to make sure it's fresh and it's impactful and I'm passionate about it. And I want to make sure people walk away with golden nuggets. We're the only house, again, one, that has sponsorship support, two, has a podcast that ties into this room that's on every social media bucket. We have our own website, which is called the creativebirdstrategies.com. We're the only group that provides complimentary material for you to underwrite your own deals, and I open up a strategy discussion with anyone when I send that email out to you. If you want to spend 15 minutes on the phone to go over those worksheets, it's not a problem. Let's schedule it, get it done. And last but not least, we're an educational based group where I'm providing a CE course licensed to give CE for licensed real estate agents, and investors are welcome as well. And shame on anybody that's part of a real estate investors group that has not had me come out and speak and teach this course. There is no agenda in this course. All it's doing is giving CE to the licensed agents in the room and providing insight for real estate agents to work with real estate investors. So shame on any real estate investor group or any association that has not taken this on. Because when I call realtor associations, they want me to pay them $1,000 and give free food away to teach a free course that's going to give CE to their licensed real estate agents. Where is the common sense in that? There isn't. There just isn't. And that's where this industry needs important factors for you to go by to be a better real estate investor. You need to be the better real estate professional. When you go into a room and you're going to a networking event and it's a real estate investor group meeting. Hi, my name. Again, whatever your name is. My name is Tom Smith, and you're not licensed in anything. I'm a real estate investor or real estate professional here to learn about real estate education tonight. That should be what you're saying. You should come up with a way of saying who you are, what you do, and how you do it. There has to be an objective to why you're going to the event. It's just not a night out to grab a cup of coffee and a pastry. Okay? There has to be intent why you're there, whether it's for the subject, it's for the speaker, to support the group, to get something out of it, to walk away with a golden nugget. These are important factors up and above how to strategize who your power team is, how to evaluate a deal, where to evaluate a deal, and what type of investor you want to be. What is your strike zone? And I'll use Joe's famous term that he loves so much. What is your buy box? Joe, you're back. Some thoughts to what we were discussing this morning. What is the most important factor in real estate investing?
Yeah. Sorry, power outage, and I guess the phone didn't want to click over to cell service.
Yep.
The Wi-Fi went out. So no, listen, really good stuff, and I hate that term buy box for the record. Really good and powerful discussion, right? And like we discussed earlier, location, what type of landlord do you want to be, and/or fix and flipper, what type of neighborhoods do you want to be in? Linda brought some really good points where, the market that she's in, she's having a hard time finding a renter after reducing her rent. And Joe, we go into the replays, maybe we could call me Nostradamus, right? I predicted that was going to happen. Maybe I was just a year or two ahead of my time, where you need to be prepared in your portfolio if you have to reduce rents. Linda also made another great point about newer investors not accounting for expenses that are going to happen, and then they wind up going into either bankruptcy or foreclosure because they can't keep up with the maintenance of the properties, right? This isn't come with nothing in my pockets, right? With your pockets flagged out with nothing in it, and I'm going to be a millionaire industry. The old adage of "it takes money to make money" is true. It's out there, and it's true for a reason. And listen, you have to have, as you like to call it, as a lender, skin in the game, right? Going through the numbers on 100% financing, you have to do volume in order to maintain the properties and be able to deal with the hiccups that you're going to come along. Listen, case in point, this new property that I just bought, everything looked good. The water heater is from 2020 installed. The permit is there. It's leaking. The water heater is bad. It's only 4 years old. So granted, there's a 6-year warranty, but I now have to go through the expense of replacing the 4-year-old water heater, which should last me 10 to 15 years. So, there's a lot of things that you need to take into account and have to have some sort of financial plan and backing when it comes with it, as well as some financial literacy. So that's what I have for you, Joe.
Joe, one thing you got cut out when I went over my soapbox on communication. Do you think that's half the battle with real estate professionals today? Just having communication skills with real estate investors. Do you think there's a disconnect?
I think it's more than half. What do they say? It's mindset is 80% of it, right? 20% is the physical point of it. It's 90% of it. Your communication is effective when you're dealing with other investors. It's also effective when you're dealing with prospective tenants. If you're in a retail industry, it's effective when you're speaking with customers. If you present yourself professionally and you communicate appropriately and handle yourself the way you should, then I think that's where you weed out the people that you don't want and the people that you do want, right? To do business with. So if you present yourself as a no nonsense person, I'm professional. I'm gonna be lenient when I can and strict when I have to be. I think people respect that and they know what to anticipate, right? So that's what I think on the communication side, real quick and easy.
Yeah. I think this took a different path, this discussion this morning, but I think it covered a lot of track in the important basis of the real estate profession itself. It's changing in front of us. It's evolving with AI and technology. I don't know where it's all going to end up. This NAR lawsuit got a lot of real estate agents shaken. These real estate investor group meetings are getting hammered because they're not really providing the mastermind discussions that are necessary. It's with everything on social media, economic concerns. I think people are grabbing onto things that hopefully will get them to the promised land. It's called hard work. It's called surrounding yourself with the right people. I think great communication skills are key. Be very diligent in what you're doing and where you're going and who you want to surround yourself with. I think these are all very important factors. I want to thank our sponsors today. I want to thank, obviously, Perkatex, Yardell Perkins, who I call him the Oz behind the drape, great colleague, friend of mine. We've been working together in collaboration the past decade, whether it was real estate investor group meetings and podcasting now we're partnership with. I want to thank MB Capital, my referral partner that I work with on unsecured business lines of credit. I'd like to thank Really For Women with Linda Pelagas, our national publication that provides also national events throughout the country. And I'd like to thank Lenmark Capital, your asset-based lender of choice in regards to investment, DSCR, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, multifamily, meaning 5 to 25 units, providing strategy and insight. I want to thank everybody that's in here this morning, their engagement. We are the only clubhouse room that offers educational worksheets. The only clubhouse room that offers a website with now our 38th episode in this traveling of our podcast. We're the only house in Clubhouse that offers CE accreditation course in navigating asset-based lending throughout the country. Take advantage of these opportunities. And then yet again, we offer also a marketing video opportunity to be interviewed by myself and talking about who you are, what you do, and what is your why in your business. Nobody else is extending this here. And I want to thank Clubhouse for allowing us to be here several years and providing this every Saturday morning, 8 a.m., and every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. And I always like to finish our room with a great quote. Don't compare yourself to others. Be your own competition. Everybody have a blessed Sunday morning. Please take care of yourself. We'll be back here next Saturday and Sunday with another slivers of great education on real estate through the Creative BRRRR Strategies house and podcast. Thank you all, and we'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds.